This is the video of how to change a starter on the N14 Select Plus. I didn't see anywhere on YouTube, so as far as I know, this is the first video on YouTube of how to do it. Okay, here's a look at the starter, where it grounds to the motor. Positive on top, the solenoid is kind of hard to see from here. I'm gonna need a couple tools here. I got a 19 millimeter deep weld socket for this, and I know that's a 9/16 over there. And I've already used some Croyle oil on the mounting bolts of the starter to go ahead and start trying to get those bolts to break loose. So I'm gonna go ahead and take all this down, zip tie it together, and hopefully
first thing first, definitely I'm gonna unhook this positive cable, the main one that goes to the starter.
Okay, so all the connections are off. I ran zip ties through the eyes of all the hookups, so so when I go to put it back on, it'll be a little bit easier. So the first bolt in the starter that I heard was the best to take off is the one way back here. You can hardly see it, but it's a 5/8 12-point socket is what you'll need, with a long extension, probably about 18 inches or so. So that's the first one I'm going to break loose first. All right, I came down to the ground to get a better angle out of it, and we just broke this back bolt loose. So from here, the rest is pretty straightforward. You might be able to get a view of that back bolt for somebody who hasn't done it before. Can you see the back bolt?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, we'll see. It's loose now.
I use a lot of Croyle oil, K-R-O-I-L.
Here's the bottom starter. Figured I'd just give a good view of this, and that's the 12-point bolt and the 12-point socket that I got here. And there's actually not a lot of room in here, so that's why I got this real little 3/8 wrench and this real little socket to be able to reach this bolt. So same 5/8 is the one up top. Okay, the problem I had right here was that my ratchet wrench and my socket kept running into this lip. Yeah, the lip right there. So I put this extension on it, so I think that's gonna let me go ahead and get this bolt out. There it is. And it is heavy. Okay, it's almost time to put the new starter back in. Took these bolts, cleaned them up real good, and I'm going to put this Permatex anti-seize on there, just in case, you know, for next time. The bolts will come out a lot more easy. And also I'm going to take one of these clean towels and rub the mating surface and clean it, just to give it a clean surface for the new starter to mate onto. This is what the mating surface looks like right here. So I'm just going to wipe it down with a towel and get ready to put the first two bolts in to support the weight. All right, so there's the new starter, negative, positive, solenoids. Here's my jumble of wires. So let's see if I can put it back together. This here, battery protector and sealer. So since this is a brand new starter, I'm going to go ahead and spray the positive post and the negative post to get a good seal on it. What it looks like all hooked up. Got all the grounds back in. Got everything up here. And time to start the truck, see what we got. Nothing. Something wasn't done right. Go ahead and get ready to start it again. All right, see right now. Hold on. Right now we're testing for a 12 volt to the solenoid. Go ahead. Nothing. So what I'm thinking is when I put the wire onto the solenoid, something happened. I must have broke the wire or something. So time to investigate. All you need is a couple schematics, right? Follow the starter. Keep on following. Okay, so what actually happened, I didn't break the wire that went to the solenoid. I hooked the trigger wire up to where I had it hooked up on the old 42 MT starter, and the new 39 MT starter has a magnetic relay on top, so I was actually supposed to hook it up to the magnetic relay on top. But what I think I did was burned out my starter relay or something. So on the next clip, I'll show you how I tested the starter relay. So here's the starter relay, and I got a good ground going to 87, and I'm sending power to 86. No click from the relay. It's not engaging at all. And before this, I tested right here where the starter relay gets the power from the ignition, and I'm getting all the power during the ignition. So it's sending the signal to the relay, but the relay is not carrying the signal forward to the starter. All right, there's the new starter relay. It's already hooked up. It's just a plug. And the new starter relay, it did the trick. I was able to get it for 10 bucks from a parts warehouse here in town, and it carries the signal. All right, everything's hooked back up, so now it's time to power the motor back on and see what we got. That was the starter on an N14. I replaced a 42 MT starter with a 39 MT starter. It sounds a whole lot different. This is my first time using a 39 MT starter. The only tips I really have on this job is if you're going from an older style starter to a newer style starter, to make sure to hook the trigger wire onto the top magnetic solenoid that is on the starter. Besides that, it's just the obvious things. Make sure to keep your batteries disconnected and until you finish the job. And if you gotta make any new crimp on any new connections, just make sure you insulate it as good as you can. And that's about it. Switch it back up, as you see, and now it's time to turn. No, we got to.